Welcome back, everyone, to another episode of 1YL or 1 Year Later. This is a podcast show amplifying the voices of people taking adversity into their own hands and changing their world and the world around them. And today we have a very special guest, my friend Claire Roche. Claire, how are you?
Great. It's so good. I'm doing so good today. It's so sunny, honestly, where I live. So, which,
Yeah,
you know, is California. It's the best ever. But
I
it's
know.
such a good
We
day.
Everyone in California is excited because this weekend we have like this teaser of a summer weekend a little bit. Like the
Yeah.
temperatures are
Mhm.
rising. It's gonna be fun. But
Yeah.
I know it's exciting. I like when the sun's out too. It was a little gloomy this week, but
Yeah.
nonetheless, I'm excited to have her on. You guys, I'm gonna explain a little bit of her accolades. But you guys all
Great.
know this show is not about accolades. The show is about sharing the story of adversity from the last year and then where we got to getting to
Hmm.
today. A little bit of background about Claire. Claire and I have known each other for a few years now. A
Yeah.
lot of that time that we've gotten to know each other has actually been mutually working at the same coffee shop, being entrepreneurs, owning our own businesses, and we've connected on a lot of levels in that sense. Claire
Yeah.
is in the wedding industry, so she is
Yes.
an event planner. She
Hmm.
is in the details and she's incredible at it.
Awesome.
Um, and she is based in Southern California. So uh, all of the weddings or most of the weddings that she does are in Southern California.
I would say some of the weddings
Yeah.
I do are in Southern California.
Yeah. I mean, that's the beauty. That's the beauty of being an event planner, right? Like there's the
Right.
opportunity to like plan an event. Like you could go to Zimbabwe if you wanted to, like just make it happen.
I could. It's not part of the
She
plan, but I could.
she could. So I'm sure you guys will hear a little bit more about what that industry has felt like in the last 365 days in just a second. But I wanted to give you guys a little bit of a platform for her to jump off of here at the beginning. So Claire, let's cut straight to the chase. The
Yes.
first question I love to get people started with is can you paint us a picture of where you were physically, emotionally, mentally 1 year ago, right around now, right around mid-April of 2020?
Mid-April. I was physically at my mom's house. That was great. Um, yeah, I was running my business. I think at this point, who's to say what's supposed, what's happening, right? Like it's
Mhm.
April, so in May or March we had experienced like obviously some of the postponements, which I think is true of like anybody, which was that we're like, yeah, we'll postpone our April weddings, but like, see you in May.
Yeah.
So, it was, I remember feeling like so grateful that I still had a job. I still had income and we were booking new people and all that good stuff. But I remember feeling like everybody else has had a month off of work and this has been the most like wild month of my life up until that point. And I was like, I just would love to sit in front of the TV and veg. I really would.
Totally.
But I really wanted to balance that with like, I was watching so many people lose their businesses. So I was like,
Mhm.
you have to balance the two. But yeah, we had started to pivot, adjust, like accommodate accordingly and learn new things. And I'd gotten really well acquainted with the CDC website and
Mhm.
going to said coffee shop that we used to work at all the time was
Mhm.
truly the highlight of my week. Like it
Mhm.
was the greatest thing ever. So I think in terms of emotionally, I think I felt discouraged, but I don't think I was ready to let myself really believe that it was what it was. I was a little bit
Yeah.
in denial
Mhm.
because my industry is rooted in people meeting together. So I was
Mhm.
like, I can't really let myself believe that this is what it is. But yeah,
Right.
I was at
And
home.
I can imagine too, emotionally, you were also riding the wave with brides who were coming to grips with the fact that
Hmm.
that gathering of people to
Right,
celebrate their union wasn't potentially going to happen in the timing that they wanted it to happen in. So
right.
how did you do emotionally with that sort of aspect of like you're kind of like counselor and planner and like taking on roles that weren't
Yeah.
weren't as normal for your industry prior to a pandemic.
Right. Yeah. Um, I I think there definitely were new elements to my job when it came to this uh last year, but the way that I've always planned weddings and the way that I've always run my business is that we're super relationally based. Like what personally drives me is relationships and friendships. And so for me, I felt like I already had these existing friendships with people, and there's always a little bit of counseling when it comes to being a wedding planner if you've structured your business in that way. If you intend to just be very like detailed and logistics and like really removed from everything, then you won't have to deal with it. But
Hmm.
because I was already committed to being clued in, I feel like I'd already experienced a little bit of that because weddings truly bring out wedding planning brings the best and worst out in people. So I think it's just really sad. I think there's like no better way to put it than it's just really sad. Like
Yeah.
we had a wedding for a year ago, like almost exactly, that obviously got postponed and is not
Hmm.
happening until next year. So it's like, like there's a level of grieving that had to happen and that I had to process through. But I also think like for me to like make it through the year, there had to be compartmentalizing because
Hmm.
I was postponing 20 weddings. Like there was no way that I could have done that, like, and done my job well if I was thinking about, like, deeply thinking about, like, this is somebody's wedding they've dreamt of, and like now it's what is this going to be? So,
Yeah.
yeah,
That's
yeah,
interesting.
yeah,
It's totally like it's a piece of that puzzle that like face value your
right,
career, yeah, was like a challenge of the last year. But like when
right,
you really get into the parts and pieces of what it means to do that role as a career,
right,
it involves relationability in a way that like is a part of the most special day of people's
hmm,
lives, arguably. And I'm
right,
sure that you felt that weight outside of a pandemic. So I was just curious to know like
yeah,
how that kind of how that contributed. So then my it kind of leads into my next question, which
right,
is could you identify like two of the biggest challenges
hmm,
of the last 365 days for you, whether it is career or personally or wherever you want to take it? But what are some of the
mm,
challenges that you faced last year that kind of, when looking back, you're like, ooh, wow, that was a thing, and it might still be a thing, but something that we can see like where some adversity was presented in your last year.
yeah. The first thing that comes to mind is I feel like probably about a year ago, I felt like I was really hitting a groove with what I was doing. Like I started my business in 2018, and I feel like I'd started 2020. I had made it through my first year of business, and I was like, I don't know totally what I'm doing, but I definitely know better. And so I had gone to this point where like it was allowing me to grow more. It was allowing me to try new things. It was allowing me to like, um, I don't know, just like be more than just a wedding planner, I would say.
Yeah.
Um, but I think what was a challenge is basically it felt like starting over. It felt like,
Hmm.
oh, okay, so everything I've known about my job is different now. And so it felt like starting over in that way. And I think it like recalibrated my capacity, if that makes sense. Like I felt
Yeah.
like I'd walked into 2020 with very firm capacity of like what I could do and what I felt good about and like what was a stretch for me. And I just think I was flipped on its head.
Hmm.
And so, yeah, it was a challenge navigating that.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, I mean, obviously some elements of my job stayed the same, of course, but like
Sure.
never ever before was I asking like, okay, so like how many hand sanitizers do we have? Or like what is the
Yeah.
venue's policy on this? And what's the catering policy on this? And like what's the refund? Like, should we get a lawyer on the phone? Like that was never something I thought I would be doing.
Hmm.
Because I'd like to avoid being sued or like involved with a lawyer other than like preemptively. Um,
Right.
so that, and I just think I have had a lot of like personal healing and growth in this last year. I
Hmm.
think, um, being that it was the year it was, I don't think there was a lot of room for like, um, faking it anymore. Like, if that makes
Yeah.
sense. So,
Hmm.
it definitely was a challenging year in terms of like there were certain strains on certain relationships that just couldn't be avoided any longer, and had to like do the work to like become a healthier human. And
Yeah.
so, um, yeah, I mean, I can say now, like, I'm really sincerely grateful that I had that and,
Hmm.
grew in that way. But there's always, it's always hard before it gets really good. And
Yeah.
so, um, yeah, I would
That's
not,
cool.
I would not like to repeat this year. I'll say that. But
Yeah.
I like where I am now feels like a win, I think.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's so interesting. The reason I ask the challenge questions is because not because I how do I put this? I don't ask guests to be on the show knowing that the last year started out really bad and ended it has now become really awesome. Like, I
Right.
truly believe that, like, there are probably aspects of what's going on still today as we record this that are still hard that were presented last year that are still remain to be true. But I
Right.
think what's interesting about it is, like, as we get retrospective about the last year and let ourselves think back and go, okay, what were some of those moments that, like, literally, like, put me in the corner, like, trying to figure out how this could be even possible and that it's happening. And
Hmm.
now, like, looking back on it, you're like, okay, yeah, did it take more than, the time that I wanted it to take? Sure, but at the same time, you're stoked and you have the right to pat yourself on the back to be able to know that you got
Mm,
through it, and your
right.
business is gonna be better because of it, because when you thought you had an awesome business in 2019, 2020, you then have now added to all of the experience and all of the
Right.
I'm gonna call it for you, like, more of a gut reaction,
Hmm.
knowing how to pick up the phone and call the lawyer if it's necessary, or knowing how to ask the question about the sanitization policies for things like catering and venues and things of that sort. When,
Hmm.
like, you probably kind of got into a groove knowing that most venues were equal in some respects, and now
Right.
it's like, no question is a bad question. So,
Right.
I just think it's really interesting to hear about some of those
Yeah.
challenges before we kind of get to more of the excitement about where you've come to now. So,
Yeah.
I mean, one of the cool things of the last year is you moved out and you moved to one of your favorite cities, it seems like. So, how
I
has
did.
that been emotionally, just to have a space that you can call yours, and also be able, I mean, one of my favorite things of the last year is just getting to watch you on Instagram, like, enjoy walks and enjoy getting outside and, like, being and doing things that
Yeah.
aren't, like, being within your email and in the calendar and on the phone all the time. Like, what has that sort of how would you describe all of those aspects of your life in the last year and how you've come through all of
Mm,
that?
yeah. That's a great question. I think it's felt really good. It feels like it came at the right time. I think the best way to like describe it like is I just feel like, and I definitely feel safe with my family, so I want to start with that. But I feel like I have
Mhm.
a new safe space that is totally mine.
Mhm.
And I feel like it's allowed me to become a healthier human,
Mhm.
and to like process things and deal with things that I couldn't have before just because of like circumstances.
Sure.
Um, so yeah, and I just like have found so much joy in the little things. I think that's a big thing from last year where I was like, I just like from the beginning, I felt I don't know if it was the people that I was following on Instagram or if it was like conversations I had or it was like Jesus was like, this is for you. But
Mhm.
I feel like I've become more committed to like finding joy in the little thing where,
Yeah.
like it makes, yeah, I do the same walk pretty much every day and like I get the same coffee and like I see the ocean but it's never, for me, it's never like just another day. It feels
Yeah.
like such a gift every single time. And I don't think I'll ever be over that. So I honestly think living where I live now has allowed me to handle this year the way I have.
Cool.
Um, so yeah, I feel like, I think this is living here. I also like am a huge advocate for therapy, so I have a great therapist, but I just feel like the combination of quite a few things have allowed me to feel like I can live my most free life. Like I feel so free and safe and good.
Mm-hmm.
And I think, to be honest, yes, you definitely see me going on walks and like you'll see me doing all those cool things, which is great. But I have to do those things because
Mm-hmm.
this year with work has been insane. So
Mm-hmm.
I like have to find joy in the little things because otherwise it can get really discouraging. So
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah,
I
I
I hear
highly
that.
recommend moving out if you
Yeah,
want to.
I love that. I love that. Yeah, so I mean, it's it's funny you say that, you know, I think we both agree like social media can be super deceiving and it's like we can look at the glamour of beautiful walks along the beach when in
Right.
actuality it's like such an SOS moment for your heart to be able to
Sure.
like get a deep breath and like
Right.
take those 15 minutes for yourself. So because sometimes that was
Hmm.
what was necessary last year.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's cool just to see some of those pieces that you put into place physically to make sure that
Right.
you were able to conquer last year the way that you were.
Hmm.
So that leads me to my next question, which could you identify two turning points that really brought you hope to get you to a better place now than you started the last 365 days in? Was there anything physically that happened? Any choices you made? Any just like moments of like deep breath because you were holding on to something and waiting for a decision on something that really um, allowed you to be the best version of yourself that you could be today?
Hmm. Yeah. Like, yeah. Yeah. If I'm understanding the question correctly, it's like, what were those points that led me to where I am, basically is what you're
Yeah,
saying.
yeah,
Right.
for sure.
I think one of the big ones was right at the beginning of everything last year. I made the decision to not slow down, to not be completely devastated by what was
Hmm.
happening, which I think,
Hmm.
like we were talking about earlier, is a little bit of the compartmentalization. But I started like putting out free resources online. We like launched a blog. We started doing virtual things like for couples and also for wedding planners and mostly for wedding planners. But like there was a lot of stuff that we decided that we were like, we're going to do this and we're not going to, work looks different and it's not going to be the same. And I'm not going to go to 7 weddings this month, but I'm going to do something. And so I think I remember about that decision came probably 2 to 3 weeks in when I
Hmm.
realized it was not like a 2 to 3 week thing.
Right.
Um, I had heard somebody say like about 2 weeks in, like the people that are going to make it are the people that are adjusting, that are like choosing to make a different decision. And I remember thinking like, I'm not really sure how we can make wedding planning online. Like that feels kind of silly,
Totally.
but I heard that and I was like, okay, I'm going to do it. I'm going to do something. So it was free resources. It was building out an email list. It was, um, I like honed into why I do what I do, and that is to help people, like to
Hmm.
make somebody's wedding planning experience positive,
Yeah.
and good, and that they would feel supported. I think that's a big one. I think I would say I think it's that I made the decision to like commit to being like as healthy as I could in this. And I'm gonna expand on that because I like made the decision to continue to be committed to like groups that I was in, whether that's a
Mhm.
small group or like a friendship. I made the decision to like start like going on more walks. Like that was I guess my thing. But I made the decision to go back to therapy. I made the decision to move out. Like I made the
Yeah,
decision to not allow my circumstances to dictate um everything. And
yeah.
I know that I say that from a place of privilege, like what a gift that I could move out this year and that I could like take a big leap financially and that I could do all these things. Like that's a huge privilege that a lot of people didn't have. And I know that I like am in a really fortunate position.
Mhm.
So I think, but just the overall decision, like, okay, I'm not going to let these circumstances completely dictate my life. And I think that comes from like past experience with trauma and processing through all of that that has led me to realize like life is gonna be crazy and like you
Mhm.
cannot control everything. 2020 is like case in point.
Mm-hmm.
But like
Mm-hmm.
what you do with it matters. And I'm also not an advocate for toxic positivity. That's not what I'm saying. But the
Mm-hmm.
idea that like you get to choose to be grateful for little things, and you get to choose to look at your circumstances, and yeah, they suck. Like, let's acknowledge they suck. But
Yeah,
what are you going to do? That's good, you know? So,
totally. Yeah. I love how you put all of that. Truly. Like, I
thank
mean,
you.
there's those were a lot of moments. Like you could have broken
Mm-hmm.
it down to like pick one or two of those, but like those are a lot of moments that like those decisions that you had made
Mm-hmm.
were really conscious. They were like in your heart to know that I'm going to make this decision for this purpose.
Right.
And with that intention probably came like a short season of change and needing to like reprogram some parts of your brain and your
Sure.
heart that were like in a different alley for a second.
Right.
But through that challenge of reprogramming those things, like I'm sure you're saying that as a turning point that brought hope for where you're at now, because it then fell into place and allowed you to be a better version of yourself today. And
Right. Yeah.
I wanted to speak from this perspective too. Like I just got lunch with a dear friend, a mutual dear friend of both of ours, Reese.
Oh, I was like, who
And
is it? Are we going to make me guess?
no.
She's so
Um,
wonderful.
so Reese and I grabbed lunch, and we had her on the show just a week ago or so, and
So fun.
we were just hearing about just floral design and how that had to like ebb and flow with the wedding
Right.
industry, and that's one aspect of things that you're helping to coordinate on the day of a wedding. But
Mm-hmm.
um, you know what we were speaking about was the way that you have taken your role as, we can just put it into this bucket of event planner, but we
Mm-hmm.
can really expand it into the way that you have decided to influence, to inspire, to motivate all of
Mm-hmm.
the vendors that you work with, anyone who would ever be in a space to touch someone who it could impact the best day of their life, but also that is expanding beyond that to the
Mm-hmm.
fact that you created your own business and you decided to take that leap. And I remember sitting with you at coffee and making the decision. You have your teaching credential, but like that's going to be on pause for the second, right? So there
Yeah.
was a lot of moments in the last. I'll go back even further, like in the last 3 or 4 years, that have
Right.
led you to this space that I'm sure have increasingly led you to wanting to believe in yourself to the maximum capacity of what you've committed yourself to. And
Right.
that's what I know to be true about you. And so I hear that all in this turning point of making good decisions. So it's very inspiring, Claire. I gotta admit.
Thank you. That's really
Yeah,
sweet of you. I appreciate
for
it.
s- for sure. And this is just a fun thing that I wanted to bring up before I ask you our last and final, like more thought-provoking question.
Yeah.
Um, I remember it was probably like you could correct me if I'm wrong, 6 to 8 months ago, we were kind of giggling about like TikTok is like kind of crazy. Like, is it even like worth it kind of feeling?
Right.
And it's like adding something else to the plate, especially for an
Right.
entrepreneur where it's like Instagram is our playground. Like, we also have to be on
Right.
Facebook for all the moms and dads who are like looking for our
Yeah.
content. The website
Right.
platform needs to be rebranded. And amidst all of that,
Yeah.
you hopped on to TikTok and said, "Okay, let's do this." And here you are. You're crushing it and you're inspired. I literally have had so many conversations with people where they're like, "I've talked to Claire and I'm jumping on TikTok because of her." Like,
No.
yes,
Really?
yeah. Kara Luck and Arise Hutchison have both have conversations with me about this.
Oh,
So
I love both of them.
yes, I mean, are you having fun with it? Like that's my main question that I wanted to ask. Like, is it work and fun, or like what's the vibe on like jumping on
Yeah.
TikTok? Because it's definitely cool to watch grow.
Thank you. That's really nice. Um, I would say it's work and fun. I think it's insane. That's what it is. It's insane. But it's so weird. But TikTok was always my non-work app. Like for a long time, I made the
Hmm.
decision to not do any work on there because I was like, I need to be able to have like my thing, and like whether that's healthy or not, like it was my like decompressing thing. And like my best friends can tell you that like usually past 11 p.m. they have like 17 TikToks sent to them because I just think they're so funny.
Yeah.
But so it started off as that. And then I just was like, it's so different than Instagram. Like, I feel like Instagram truly to me feels like, and I can only speak from my experience. So somebody else might feel differently about TikTok, but I feel like I go on Instagram and I like put 127% in and I get like 0% return, maybe 2% return. TikTok is insane because I feel like I put 5% in and I get 300% return. Like, it's just wild. So I do find it fun. I am pretty committed to like, it's much more than I ever wanted it. Maybe that's not the word, but maybe that's the truth. That I ever wanted it to be. I think, to be honest, I was really content with my life the way it was. And so I am so grateful for TikTok and I won't stop. But I've committed that like, there's a lot of days when running a business really gets to me, or like I just have life stuff going on and I just like, I'm not going to post a video. Like, it's not going to happen. And I'm not interested in like forcing myself into that. I'm going to keep it super fun. I'm going to share, like, people have asked, what's my strategy? And I'm like, I usually am planning a wedding and realize that this is something most people don't know. And then I just share it. Like, that's about it. So to answer your question, it is fun. It is work.
It is work.
I don't know. That's what I would say.
I love that. Yeah, it's been cool to watch, and I like find myself scrolling it a little bit, and I'm like, man, when it comes,
are you getting married?
No, I will call you when that day comes. I will assure you. But I'll admit, like, when I scroll it, I'm watching from an entrepreneurial mindset of like, okay, she has let authenticity win for her because you're not hiding anything. It's like, let's hop on and just be like, I got 1 minute in the Starbucks line before I have to tell them that I want, a grande iced cold brew or whatever your order might be.
That's not it, but I'm not that hardcore.
Okay.
You probably are, but not the same.
I love that. No, but you're like literally like filming a TikTok in the minute before you have to like give your order at the register. And
I'm not messing around.
I love it. There's like, I'm sure that it started out kind of like, ha ha ha, we're on TikTok, and it's usually what I like send funny videos to my friends on. But here we are now; it's a business thing, and now here we are. So
here we are.
I wanted to tell. I cannot believe that I have not mentioned what your actual company name is. So you guys, Claire can be found at Grit and Grace Events Co. And is that all socials? Events Co. is the end of it.
Events Co. is Instagram, TikTok, and then my website is Grit and Grace Events. So super confusing. Not my best move, but here we are now. Too late.
Well, I mean, we're in the same boat on that because all of my socials and my website are Team Make It Loud, but the brand is Make It Loud, so it's not really helpful. So
was it not an available domain?
No.
See, that's what gets you. I would have been Grit and Grace Events Co. if I had the domain available.
Yeah.
Anyways,
exactly.
Nobody really cares about that unless they are an entrepreneur.
Right. We're like, this is real conversations at coffee when we're like, did you check Google Domains today to like see if
did you buy the domain for that idea you had for 6 months from now? Because if you didn't, somebody else is going to buy it or it's going to go up in price. So don't joke.
It's so crazy. But yeah, I wanted to let everyone know because I think it's cool. Like, if you are planning a wedding, go and check it out on Instagram, TikTok. She has some incredible tips as well. I know that there's places on her website to fill out inquiries to potentially have Claire come and be the planner at your wedding, but also help with the design of your wedding prior to, which is like a cool gift that she has to be able to come alongside you and help make your vision for the best day of your life come true, which is so fun. Okay, Claire, this is the final question. And I want you just like answer it however honestly you want to. Everyone takes it in a different direction. The final question I ask everyone on the 1YL podcast is, I want to know, did your 1 year ago self believe that you could be here 1 year later?
No, 0%. Literally 0% chance did I think this would be my life. Truly. There's no need to expand on that.
Wow.
1 year ago, oh man, no. I mean, she thought she was going to be a business. She thought she was going to do things, but absolutely did not think she'd be where she is today. And I'm speaking
Yeah.
in third person, which is kind of annoying, but that's where we're at today.
It's not annoying. I'm like totally digressing. I appreciate your honesty there, but I'm digressing because I was just laughing at someone the other day that entrepreneurs typically will speak in terms of we, when sometimes, especially at the beginning, there's no we. There,
I
there is.
do have a we now.
You
I
do
am
have a
not
we now.
lying. It was a lie at the beginning.
Yeah, it was totally like, we created this website, we did this design for this, and it's like, oh, can you bring that person with you? And you're like, can someone fake it
No,
till you make it?
cannot.
No.
Yeah, absolutely
No,
not.
okay. But back to the 1 year ago, that's really, I'm thank you for your honesty, right? Like,
Yeah.
I think there's so much for people to be encouraged by, people just being able to step up, especially in a season when, you and I aren't the ones who are sitting here like overvaluing like Instagram or TikTok followers or things of that sort. But like, whatever season of life a listener might be in, like, I hope what they can take from this is like drive, grit, if you will, the
Hmm.
ability to like put your head down, believe in yourself, and
Hmm.
know that there's people around you who believe in you. And
Right.
then also be able to emotionally come alongside of people in a very
Yeah.
difficult season to say like, hey, we got this and we can do this together, especially when in that season it was hard to forecast for the future of the
Right.
belief in yourself.
Right.
So
Yeah.
man, thank you for your honesty on that. And
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
it's just it's just cool. It's cool to kind of get to catch up and hear about where things have gone with business. And I'm so
Thank
stoked
you.
for how it's all going. And I continue to like mention your name to newly
You're
engaged humans to make
Thank
sure
you.
that I want to make sure that you are more often than not overwhelmed with the amount of business that you have. So if I
Thank
can
you.
be any little small piece of that, I will definitely continue to do so.
I appreciate that. That's very nice. I
Of
appreciate it.
course.
This
Okay,
is so
Claire. Well,
fun.
this was so fun. Claire, keep your head up. I want to make sure that your heart stays strong and you keep your head up and through it all, because you're really making some cool moments for people. So know that they create momentum in the lives of so many people that get to interact with you. And I know everyone will be encouraged by this conversation here today.
I hope so.
Okay, guys. Well, thanks, Claire, for being here.
Yeah,
Everyone, tune in tomorrow. We have an episode of 1YL every single day, the month of April.
every
And
single day, Corey? That's
yes,
insane. I'm not even
yeah,
that committed. I do appreciate that you chose me to be on this, though. I'm so honored and I'm so glad we got to finally catch up. I'll see you at Bodie someday, although,
oh yeah,
whatever. But, anyways,
heck
I
yeah.
applaud you every day. Gosh, no. I
Yeah,
think that's
it's been
amazing.
fun. It's been fun, and like, because you're mentioning it, I'll let the cat out of the bag to everyone else. This is an entirely selfish podcast where I like get to
Oh,
interact, and like be able to like chat with my friends about like
right.
what their last year has been like. Like
Yeah,
it's a purpose to be able to go deeper than like passing by at like
right.
we're like walking on like the same loop here like locally in our
Yeah.
community or whatever it might be.
Oh my gosh,
So
the amount of times that has happened is so many. Where I'm
so
like,
many.
there's Corey running, although I'm never running. So it's you're like running
Well,
up this huge hill, and I'm like, I have my dog and an audiobook, and please don't ask me to do more. Okay.
okay, and what's funny about that is I have also noticed that you were there, but I couldn't speak words because I was like huffing and puffing from
You're
like
dying.
running so hard. I was like, Claire, hi.
That's what happens when you run up that hill. That
It
hill
is.
is death.
It
I've
is.
never once in my life run up that hill, and I lived there for 23 years. So
Man.
20,
That's the
23.
that's the end of my run too. Because I start uphill going, yeah,
Sorry.
I know.
You
I know.
already
Anyways,
know that you're better than me in this way, so let's just like put the nail in the coffin.
we are not in the comparison. Man, at that point I was just trying to like do some sort of physical activity because man,
Right.
I was missing Orange Theory at that point.
Oh, I miss it too. I
I know.
keep checking the full cycle app. Do you know anything about that?
Ugh, I'm I'm
They,
I'm watching New York open a lot more studios like
yeah.
outdoors, and I think that the
Mhm.
progression will be like outdoor cycling and then moving into the
Well,
big
San
stuff.
Diego had outdoor cycling, and then they stopped. Like I booked a class with Remy because who else do you book a class with now?
Right,
Everybody's
right.
gone. And I didn't show up because it was too early and I just bit the bullet and whatever. I don't want to talk
Hey, I
about
feel
it.
that.
But I like went to reschedule and it wasn't there. There's like no option.
Oh no.
So
Well, everyone, we're gonna get to the bottom of outdoor fitness classes and try to make sure that we can keep we can keep doing the things that really set our soul on fire. Because
yeah.
I will tell you, when Claire and I make it to a soul cycle class, like we're gonna be sucking wind the first couple times, but man,
Dying.
the enjoyment we will experience, you will all know it because it'll be somewhere on our Instagram story because it'll be like glad to be back.
I know.
I know.
I kind of miss it. It's still bougie and high maintenance, but I do miss it.
We all need
Nothing
something
like it.
bougie and we need something bougie and high maintenance in our life. And if it's a physical fitness class, like I'm in.
Okay, let's go when they open.
Okay, I'm in. Okay,
Okay.
everyone, tune in tomorrow for another episode of 1YL. Hope you guys enjoyed it. We will see you tomorrow.
Okay, bye.